Welcome to the channel of RD Automation Learning. So in this video, would be continuing with the live project, live automation testing project with respect to Playwright JavaScript that we had started. So we would be continuing with the next video for this particular series. And before we move on, I would like to share with you about a digital product, which is about rest assured interview questions and answers. So in this particular product, you would get the API testing related questions and answers. These days in the interviews, they're asking questions on UI automation, as well as that they are also asking questions on the API automation. So you can avail this particular product today itself. So it is available on the TopMate. I'll be sharing the link of this particular product in the comment section as well as in the description of the video, so you can avail the same. Now, many of you have shared in the comment section that you are looking for the framework. So yes, we have already started building the framework. And since it is still in the initial stages, today what I will do is I will explain to you about each and every component in this particular framework. It is very important that you should have a clarity about what you want to achieve in this framework. What are the different components in this framework? For example, if I ask you that you need to travel to New York or you need to travel to Chicago on XYZ date in the month of July. Let's say you want to travel to Chicago on 27th of July, that is 2025. So what you would do, you would go through the websites, maybe Make My Trip, or you would connect with some of the people who will help you with the itinerary. Once they will help you with the itinerary, you will select, okay, we have to plan for 5 days. Is that a 6 days or that is a 7 days trip would be there? So according to that, you will plan your things. So similarly, what we will do is in the framework also, we are planning what all components we need based on the scenarios that we are going to automate. It might happen that in your company, in your organization, you are going for, let's say, BDD. It might happen in some other company, they are not going for BDD. It depends on what kind of scenario, it depends on what kind of use case you are trying to achieve via your automation. You can also consider this as an example that if you are planning to fly from Bangalore to Hyderabad, you can, sorry, from Bangalore to Pune or any other city, you might go via train, you might go via flight, you might go via any other community commuting option as well, right? So it depends from use case to use case, scenario to scenario. But this framework, the components that you can see over here, are the bare minimum components that you would need. Okay, now let's understand this frameworks, because in your interviews, the very first question you would get is how do you work in an automation framework? Can you tell us something about your automation framework? So that is a short interview question that you are going to get in an interview for sure. Okay. And if you prepare this particular answer, if you see this video till the end, definitely you would get selected. You just repeat the words, the terms, the terminologies that I am explaining you in this particular video. Of course, we will be seeing multiple things in this video. We will be seeing the framework. I will be also telling you with respect to the real-time analogy so that you are able to understand the things. See, there are so much information out there, so it becomes difficult for a human being to remember everything. So I'll tell you about few of the tips and tricks also. If you just remember on those lines, you would be able to answer in an interview and you would be able to speak with a confidence as well. Even if you forget the answer in an interview, I'll tell you some of the examples with the help of which you would be able to recall. Why is that? What is the thing that I have missed? So let me tell you about the framework first of all. Okay. So I'll give you about this framework, and this is very important. Framework is very important. It is always asked in the interviews. This is the first short question you would get in the interview. So be ready for that. Okay. Let me share my screen. Okay. So this is your framework. You have this as your end-to-end playwright automation framework. Okay. It is containing the folder structure also. What is the folder? What is the significance of that folder? Why is that folder required? What is the meaning of that folder? What is the thought process behind having that folder? So we would be discussing that in detail now. Okay, so let's start from the very basic things. See, let's start from this node underscore modules. Okay, you have node underscore modules. That is one of the folder that you will see. Okay, okay, fine. See, whenever you set up the Node.js, right, npm, we saw the commands that you have to run to set up the Playwright, to set up this Node.js npm. So node underscore modules is a folder that would get created by itself. You don't have to explicitly create a new folder that and rename it to node underscore modules. You don't have to do that thing. Okay, it will automatically get created the moment you set up npm Node.js in your machine. Now, what does this folder includes? So you can see node underscore modules. It includes installed npm packages. So whatever the packages that you will install, it will get installed. Those would be a part of this particular folder. It includes all these things: Playwright test, Allure Playwright, .bin executables. So you can see that folder once it is done. You can see that folder in your machine as well. Okay. Then we will be having Allure results. So Allure is one of the way of the reporting structure. Now see, you can use extend reports, you can use Allure, you can use any other reports. Why do we need reports? Why do we need reporting mechanism? Because the people like you and me, the SDETs or the QA automation engineer, they are doing end-to-end things like development, testing, coding, running the test, executing them, executing smoke regression. But when it comes to management, they are interested into the reports, the stakeholders, or you can say the business take and business analyst or the people who are at the top management level. They are interested into the reporting mechanism. They are very interested to see the count. Okay, how many tests got passed, what were the total number of tests, how many got failed, how many got skipped, what is the outcome of your automation suite, what is the coverage. So they will be more interested into the reporting mechanism. So whenever you are dealing with someone in an interview who is kind of a manager, you are in a managerial round, so focus on Allure results or these kind of reporting mechanisms more, because they will be asking you more questions on the reporting mechanisms, right? So that's very important. So you have to speak more about reporting things. So Allure results. Okay. Allure reports. This is one of the folder structure. Then you have GitHub actions. So within the GitHub actions, you want to trigger something. Now, let's say you want to run some test at 12 midnight, okay, or maybe at late in the nights, late in the evening. So you don't have to sit in the office. You can just trigger, you can create the CI/CD flows and you can trigger them. You can trigger your test to run. So for that, you have .github folder. Okay, in that you can place all your GitHub actions. See why a separate folder has been kept here? Because every folder will hold its own kind of action items. Okay, for example, if you go to, if you see this node underscore modules, it will have its own actionables. If you see Allure results, it will have its reporting mechanisms. You see GitHub, it will have its own GitHub actions. So that's the folder structure. Okay. Then you have page objects. What is page objects? So let's see in detail about this page object model. Okay. See, one of the things that we have observed in the mock interviews is people are telling that page object model is a design pattern, right? So don't ever tell that page object model is a design pattern. It's not at all a design pattern. Sorry. So page object model is actually a design pattern, right? Many of the folks in the interviews we have observed, they tell page object model is a framework. It's not a framework, right? It's actually the design pattern. Page object model is a design pattern. It's not a framework. So let me explain you about this page object model, which is a design pattern. Now, this is the website that we will be automating. So as you can see, if you come to this particular page, you will be seeing some of the elements. Okay. And if you go to this particular page, dresses, just dresses, you would see some more elements. When you click on gift cards, you'll see some other elements. So every screen in your web page, so we have these web pages. Okay, there are different web pages that we are interacting with. Every web page is having some of the elements. Okay, what are these elements? These are your web elements. Okay, these are pure HTML based things. Okay, now if I have to talk to them, if I have to interact with them, how would I interact with them? Okay, so let's understand first is from a real-time perspective, how I am talking to you. So that's from the communication way. We are doing communication. Of course, you are watching this video and you are understanding the things, you are listening the things, but how we are communicating? So we are communicating in English language. Okay, I know English, you know English. That is why we are able to communicate. We are human beings, so we are communicating in the language. Similarly, how the test automation would do. So test automation, or you can say Selenium, or you can say this Playwright, or your automation testing, what it would do is it needs to interact with these elements, right? How you can interact with these elements if you know about the elements. So there are certain details that are associated to these elements. They are known as locators, right? For example, if one of the friend wants to locate you where you are located in some particular city, so you might be located in home, that is 123, and it might be in some society, some lane, some street, and you'll send the landmark. These days, people just send the Google Map address, okay, with the coordinates. So, based on those coordinates, your friend would be able to locate you. Okay, this is my friend's house, and you'll have your interaction. So, your friend located you via the map coordinates. Similarly, in automation, we are locating these elements via locators. Now, there are different types of locators that we will see definitely, but you are interacting with these elements with respect to the locators. Now, as the elements are changing, the locators also changes, right? You are staying in home 123, someone else is staying in home 1456, someone else is staying in home 789. So as the elements are changing, the locators are also changing. Okay, now we have to perform some actions using these locators. Maybe you can perform click action. If it's a button, you'll perform click action. If it's a text box, you'll perform set text, right? If it's a button like shop now, you'll click on it. Okay. If you want to get this text, you'll perform get text operation. So different actions you will perform based on the elements and their locators that you have. Okay. Now, how do you store these things? Where do you store these things? So the idea of storing these particular things is known as page object model, which is your design pattern. Okay, it's a design pattern in which you are having different pages. So you will have one login page in which you will have the elements, the locators of the elements that are present on the login page only. Okay, you might have one sign up page. Okay, you'll have elements, locators that are present on this sign up page. Okay. Similarly, you will have, let's say we were seeing about this gift cards. Okay. Locators it would have, and it would have actions also. So both the things, locators as well as methods, functions, right? What kind of operation you want to perform. Okay. So that would be there on this gift cards page. Why are we keeping a separate page for these particular screens or these particular pages? Because tomorrow, if there is any change in the login page, let's say you are working in sprint 4, in sprint 8, the product owner came up with a change in the login page, the screen. Earlier there was username password, now they're just looking for username. So there will be changes in that screen. So if there is any changes, you just have to change this particular page based on the changes that are happening in the UI, UX, or in the functionality. And you'll just do the changes here, and the rest of the things would be taken care. So other pages are not impacted. What does this mean? This means the maintenance is easier for your automation framework. Okay. So we are going for page object model, which is a design pattern. Okay. Every screen will have its own pages. So similarly, you have this folder structure of the pages here. Okay. So it contains UI element classes like login page.js, in which it contains the methods which we will be using for the automation. Let's say enter username is one of the method to enter the text in the username field. Click login is one of the method to click the login button. Okay. Then Playwright reports. So it contains screenshots, errors, logs. You might be running a regression suite which might be running for 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours. And then the reports would be generated. Screenshots would be generated. Evidences would be there. Logs would be there. Errors would be there. Those all things would be stored in your Playwright report. Then you have screenshots. So how would you remember these screenshots? So you have some screenshots, right? Images that are captured during the failures, right? So those things you'll keep in your screenshots folder. You have test results. Playwright is also capturing the videos, okay? The timings of your execution. So those things you'll be storing in your test-results folder. Test data. Okay, what is test data? Test data is very important. Even if you see from the functional testing point of view, you want to test a functionality which is uploading a file. So what would be the test data for that? Test data can be that you want to test the file with 10 KB file size, 20 KB file size, 1 MB file size, 1 GB file size. What kind of files you have, text files, CSV files, XLS file, XLSX files. That is all your test data. So here also you will have those kind of test data for your automation purpose. You have JSON files, you have CSV files, right? Those are the files from which you would be reading the inputs. Okay. Next is test itself. Test, that means your testing related things. That means your validation related things, your QA related stuff that would come in your test. So you'll organize the test cases in your test folder. For example, you have different test cases. You want to navigate to some particular application. You want to assert the title. You want to wait and then you want to assert the title. So these are your tests. Then comes utils folder. So utils folder, so it's a utilities, right? You have helper methods shared across test, right? For example, you want to convert some dates. You want to use some regular expressions for segregating the date out of the junk data that you are getting, right? You want to use some database things. So all those would be a part of your utils folder. That is nothing but your utilities. Okay, that's your utilities. Okay, so this is half of your framework folder structure. Okay, so this is just a summary. We'll see that later. Okay, then you have README file as well. What does README file contain? So README file contains your let's now discuss about state.json file. So why do you need this particular file? So let's say you are trying to automate a banking based application, BFSI domain based, or you are trying to automate an application in which login requires multi-factor authentication or some kind of an OTP. So if now let's imagine a test without state.json. So in that case, what you would do, you will hit the URL. You'll enter your username, password. You'll click on the login button. You'll supply OTP or the authentication, and then you will be logged in. Then your test would run. But if you don't want to repeat this process, because this is a cumbersome process, right? This is a repetitive task. If you want to use your token based things, or if you want to store your data in the local session and use it for your further automation purpose, then you can go for state.json files, right? In which you can keep the login persistent. So whenever you will use this state.json, you just keep those token based things or that storage session storage based things in this particular file, and you just trigger your test. Then automatically what would happen, their test would get triggered taking the data from this file, and it would be logged in only. It does not requires any kind of the manual intervention. and it would increase the reliability. It would reduce the time also. And tomorrow, let's say you're looking for an OTP, but OTP does not come, the entire automation suite would be getting failed, or you would be stuck into those particular manual things. So that's the beauty of state.json files. Readme.md. So readme.md, as the name itself suggests, read me. So reading some file to get the information about what is there in this framework. So that's your readme file, which will contain all kind of instructions. It's a kind of a documentation, as we say. Swagger is a documentation for APIs. Similarly, readme.md file will help you to have the documentation. It will help you to have all the information about your framework. Tomorrow, let's say there is a new joinee in your project, or maybe someone else coming to contribute in your project for 3 months or for 4 months, for a span of short period of time or for a long duration of time. The framework is already ready. They want to kickstart and they want to start with the contribution. So the managers would share this README files first with them so that they can go through the files, they can understand the framework, and then they can start designing the automated test. Then you have playwright.config-custom.js. So what is the purpose of these things? So you have different URLs. You would be running your scripts in stage environment, test environment, production environments. Some companies, some organizations have got mirror environment of production. You can name it as pre-production as well. So these are the different environments on which you would be triggering your test. Okay. So what is the purpose of these particular files? So you can have the URLs. Now, let's say you are working in a company and you are working as an offshore person. You are in India, and there is a person in the QA team who is working in the onshore. He's working from the Canada or maybe US, from Germany. So he wants to do the testing with maybe test environment URL. You are doing testing in the staging environment URL. So in this particular JS file, you'll do the changes, you'll put the stage URL, and you'll run your test. He or she will do the changes in this particular file. They'll update the URL to maybe test or maybe production, pre-production, whichever they want to use, and they'll run the test. So you are not hard coding these parameters like URLs, username, password into your test. You are segregating your parameters of these kind, URL, username, password, into these files, and it is dynamic. Anyone can just update that file and it will trigger the test. If you are hard coding it, and let's say the person who is running the test at the night, maybe some subject matter expert, or he's a non-technical person who is not having that idea of how to trigger the test, or not having much detail about the code, like what is public static void main and all those things, kind of things. So there will be a dependency on you, and you will get calls, you will get messages on Teams, Slack, that I need to make this script up and running, can you please help? So then you will have to work during your night times also. So in order to avoid that kind of dependency, it is better to have these kind of files. You can have custom timeouts, how many workers, how many worker you want to have. So as of now, if you see in the first video, we just had one worker, one browser, we triggered it. You can have concurrent workers also. You can have multiple workers on which you can run your test. Then you have config.js file. So in that you keep base URL, you keep timeout, you keep retry mechanism of your test. Let's say once your test got failed, then second time it has to retry. So how it would do? So you can use retry mechanism for that. Maybe it might happen when the test is running for the first time, there might be some environment issue, or the URL might be slow, so it might not fail. But what you can do is you can keep retry mechanism. If it got failed, retry it second time. Okay, just to ensure there is a reliability of your suite. Package.json is a heart of your automation framework, right? It would contain all your dependencies, metadata, scripts, dependencies, right? All those things would be there, right? Get ignore would be there. So these are all your components of your framework. Okay, so let me show you the framework. Sorry, what all things we had? So we saw earlier results, we saw node modules, okay, then playwright, then there is playwright core, properties, package log.json, then playwright reports, screenshots, test results, test data, test, get ignore, utils we saw, right? So package hyphen log.json file, package.json file, then config hyphen custom.js file, readme.md, state.json. right? So these are all your components of your framework. If you have any doubts, you can put in the comment section of the video, or else I would also upload this framework that I have explained into the top mate. You can avail that as well. Okay, it might happen that I might would have missed important thing. So you can ask in the comment section of the video, right? I would be happy to assist you. Now, I'll tell you how to remember these things. Okay. So it might happen you are a beginner. It might happen you are a person, you are a professional who is having an idea, but you haven't worked on Playwright before. So things might be new for you. So how to remember these kind of things? Okay. Remembering is a very important thing from an interview perspective and from the knowledge perspective also. You should remember the things. Okay. If I explain you theoretically, you might not be able to remember. That is why I showed you a visualize kind of a mind map kind of a diagram so that you are able to see the things, picturization is happening and you are able to remember. When you go to watch a movie, you are able to remember the things over there for a longer period of time since you have watched the movie. You know every about character, you know about the initial things, things in the middle and the climax, everything, because that's a thing that you have seen. Pictures send a long-term memory in your brains. So we saw that picture. Now I'll give you one real-time example also. So imagine your testing framework is like a studio who is making a Netflix series, right? So you have page objects. We saw about page objects, right? Page object models, design patterns. So those are your actors and scripts. So every page like login page.java, home page.java is like an actor's role, what they will be doing, right? And what they want to do. So they want to enter the username, they want to click on the login button, right? And these particular actors will be playing their part in each scene. So there are actors in one scene, they might be doing comedy. In one scene, they might be doing some emotional role. In one scene, they might be dancing. So actors and their scripts. What are tests? Tests are nothing but the episodes of the series. So every series has got 8 episodes, 10 episodes, 12 episodes, depends on variety of the OTT platforms and their things. So each spec.js file is a test script, just like an episode in a series. So you have one test that is navigating to a website. You have another test you want to add some product to the cart and purchase it. You have third test in which you want to search some product. You want to verify title. You want to have login test. So think of it like an episode so is following a storyline using the cast. Okay. Utils, it is nothing but the camera crew or your support team. So what do they do? So they are playing an important role, but you might not be able to see them directly, right? But they are there. They are fixing the lighting. Sometimes you're seeing it's a rainy scene, so they are pouring waters using the pipes and what all technologies that they have. Not much aware about that. So costumes, right? Handling behind the scenes task. Okay, test data, very important. Okay, so think of that as a props. Someone wants to drive a vehicle, so how would a car be arranged? Someone wants to fly, how a flight would be arranged, right? Different usernames, passwords, inputs for testing, right? All these things would be coming up there, right? All these things would be coming up there. Then you have got playwright.config.js, which is your director's instructions, right? What your director would be kind. So how long you have to shoot, what will the timeout of that, right? What cameras, what browsers will you use? What type of camera would it be 4K types? Which episode we need to shoot first? So that sequencing. Okay. So that is your playwright.config.js file. Okay. Then you have screenshots, test results, behind the scenes footage. So at times you see when the episodes are done, then you will see the raw scenes, right? How the shooting was done. So photos of the failed scene or video footage for debugging, some videos, some traces, right? Bloopers or behind the scenes shots. So that would come. Earlier results, playwright reports, the final episode edits, right? The final, right? The finalization, the final version, right? If we see the things you have under, you have reports like V1, V2, V3, but I need the final, which can be shared with the stakeholders. We were discussing about these stakeholders. So in the managerial interview questions, you'll get the questions on the reporting mechanisms. what kind of reports you are preparing, what kind of data do you have those reports, what kind of weekly reports you have, what kind of monthly reports you have, what kind of quarterly reports you have, what kind of data you have in those reports. Those all things would come in that. Then your GitHub. So triggers when a new episode is uploaded. So whatever things is there, it will upload it. So if at times the OTT platforms are releasing some episodes on every Fridays, every Thursdays, right? And they will review it before putting it live, right? So everything is working as per the best possible things. Then you have readme.md file. So how to make up the show, right? Your complete production guide, which tools you have used, which episodes you have, all those things, right? State.json file. So access pass to studio. So look, containing the cookies that we were just discussing about the authentication factors, the cookies, right? You're giving some pass to some actors so they don't have to check in every time. You know that this particular actor is booked for this particular series, so they have to come. So it's like that. Okay, kind of a VIP access things. Okay, so summary table for beginners. You have page objects, you have test, you have utils, you have test data, screenshots, alert results, you have playwright-report, you have playwright.config.js file, you have GitHub, you have state.json, you have README files, right? Real life meaning is also there, easy to remember. You have actors, you have test cases which can be considered as episodes, you have helper functions or utilities, you can say camera, support crew, you have input files, you have props, you have failure evidences, you have bloopers, you have raw report data, you have footage, final test report, the published episode, the settings, the director's guide, GitHub actions trigger, Netflix release pipelines. You have saved login session, access card, you have documentations, right? So all those things would be a part of your framework. So this is how you have to explain your framework. Now, whenever you're explaining your framework, this video's length I've explained to you in detail, right? You don't have to explain in so much detail. At the same time, you don't have to cut short your answer, maybe 1 minute, 2 minutes. No, you have to speak 1 or 2 lines about every particular component. This would make your answer somewhere around, if you see here, so we saw about 15 components were there for the structure. And if you take just half a second, half a minute, or 1 minute, right? So it would take nearly 7 to 12 minutes for you. So you should speak about all these things because there are two things that would happen if you're able to speak to up to 7 to 10 minutes. One thing is the interviewer would be 42%, 40 to 50% of convinced that yes, this person, this guy or this lady, any person, female or male, they are having an idea, they have the knowledge about the framework. Okay. Second thing is, since you are speaking during that interview, right? You are speaking so much. Slowly and gradually, what would happen? You would be into an interview friendly zone because your brain would come to an would get a signal that yes, I'm able to speak, I'm able to answer. That means my interview is going in the positive direction. If you're not able to answer, there will be nervousness. Your brain would send you the signals that yes, you're not able to answer it correctly. This interview is not going in your direction. You might not get shortlisted. You might get rejected. So those are your negative signals. So there's a psychology behind this. So that is why it is always important that you should speak up in an interview rather than not speaking up anything. So when you speak up in an interview, automatically your brain comes to know that yes, these things are going in the positive direction and you would be able to take that interview in your way, right? 10 minutes if you're able to speak, that's a very good sign, right? Half of the 50% of the interview is getting convinced, that's a very good sign. It's a positive sign. That is why you should be able to explain all these components one by one. That is why I took so much of time to explain you all these things in detail, right? That's the summary of this particular video. Okay, so we saw about multiple things. So let's have a quick revision. What all things we saw, right? So first, take 1 minute and put down in the comment section of the video whether you are able to recall everything or not. Or at least put down in the comment section which all sections you are able to recall. Okay, put it down. I'll give you 30 seconds of time.
एक को सोच लो तब सब लाइटें लाइट हो ये चार लाइट सब
We will have a quick revision. So we started with node underscore modules. You have Allure results, reporting mechanisms, GitHub. You have package hyphen log.json files. You have page objects. You have playwright hyphen report. You have screenshots. You have test results. You have test data. You have test utils. See, all kind of test related things I have kept together so that it is easier for you to remember things. Then you have state.json. You have readme files. You have playwright config hyphen custom.js, you have playwright.config.js, you have package.json, you have git ignore files. So all these things will be a part of your framework itself, right? So this was a video on the live automation framework series in which we want to ensure that people learn about how the automation testing is being done in the companies, because these days you'll see the jobs in the market related to automation testing only. So if you get all this knowledge, you will be able to get the job in the field of testing, right? And don't forget to avail these particular products on the top mate. Those are available. So I'll upload this framework also. It would be available in the nominal cost, right? You can avail it. You can use it for your interview purpose. And I'll also upload this Word document so that you are able to correlate and you are able to remember the things, right? So in this video, we saw about the framework, the components, the folder structure, how to remember them, tips and tricks, what each component contains, how you will explain about each of the component, and how to remember the things during the interviews, right? So that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching this video and stay tuned for more updates.